Hello and welcome to Whiskey and Wool. My name is Shannon and I'm coming to you from northern New Jersey where I work and live and craft. This is a channel about knitting primarily, knitting and spinning. I haven't sewn in a long time, but I do sew sometimes. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to focus on. Oh, and of course, I will have a little whiskey chat. Before I get into that though, I just wanted to know how you're doing. We are, so here in New Jersey, I think we were the last state to reopen, and it's been a weird 3 months for everyone. So you might have noticed that I got my hair done. It's very bright because I got it done last night. Yeah, that was a weird experience. I don't know if any of you have gone to a hair salon that has reopened after being shut down for a while. And yeah, it wasn't the experience itself. My hairdresser's a lovely person. I adore him, and I've seen him for, I think, 2 decades almost. Very, very, very long time. It was just like the process, like we couldn't touch each other, couldn't hug. He, of course, was just touching my hair, but with a mask and face shield and a gown. And, I had to wear a face mask the whole time. Me and other family members were the only customers. It was really, really, really strange. Like just a different landscape. So, no idea when it's going to end. Because as I'm recording this, the cases in the United States are resurging in other states that didn't take the pandemic seriously. And, yeah, it's really strange. It's a strange time. Like, mask wearing has become politicized, which is so silly because it's a public health issue. It has nothing to do with politics. Yeah, it's been crazy here, but we'll see what happens, and hopefully there'll be some reckoning, I suppose, in some of the states that aren't taking it seriously, like when their doctors start falling down because of exhaustion or because they got sick themselves. Yeah, there'll be a public outcry. And it's horrible that it has to come to that, but I don't know. I mean, I hope it doesn't come to that, but we'll see. Our federal government is not taking it seriously at all, so there's that. Oh, you people from other countries must just be looking at us like we are out of our minds. And it's not us as a people so much as it's our leadership. And it's kind of rough around the edges right now. Enough of that. Okay, let's get into the whiskey chat. I have no idea what I'm going to show you later. I am going to record the whiskey chat a little later in the day. It is not even 10 o'clock in the morning, and I am drinking some lovely herbal tea from David's Tea. I think I'm drinking, yes, it's after dinner mint is what it's called, and it's really cool. Like, it's kind of minty, but it has like a little bit of a fennel taste, like a licorice taste or something. But I know it has rose petals in it, which was what attracted me. I mean, I love mint, and I really love rose petal tea as well, like rose as a flavor. So yeah, that was what attracted me to it. And I really love it. I've got to get more before they stop making it, because they always do these special flavors and then they disappear. So we'll see. Anyway, okay, whiskey chat time. I'll see you when you return. Hey, I'm gonna do a whiskey chat with you. I am going to taste the Macallan. I believe I'm saying that right. Scottish friends will correct me. This is the 15-year triple cask matured. A friend of mine actually gifted this to me because he knows about my whiskey chatting. So yeah, super exciting. This is another Speyside region single malt Scotch. This is probably like, so I saw a distillery tour on a whiskey documentary of this distillery, and it's spectacular. They established, and let me give you a little background, then I'll tell you. They built a new facility in 2000. I think it was complete and open in 2018. It took a few years for them to make it. I'm going to show you pictures and stuff of what it looks like, but let me tell you, I want to read to you the history. They were one of the first distilleries in Scotland to become legal, and it was in 1824. That was in 1824. And now it's gone on to become one of the largest single malt whiskey producers in the world. They were founded by a man named Alexander Reid, R-E-I-D. He was a barley farmer and a teacher. The name Macallan is derived from the Gaelic word mag, which means fertile land, and Allan, which means, I guess he's a monk? Oh no, sorry, a monk. So Theloners St. Filian? Sorry, I'm kind of butchering that. But it was a monk who spread Christianity in Scotland during the 18th century. So farmers during that time grew barley on a large scale all around Scotland. So before technology and stuff like that, the winters were quite boring. So there was nothing for a farmer to do but make whiskey. So that's how that came about. They've been seamlessly producing whiskey ever since. They expanded once in, I think it was the 90s. Let's see. A Japanese company actually took it over in 1994, Suntory. So you've probably heard of Suntory whiskey if you're a whiskey drinker. I know I've been focused on Scotch single malts, but I'm going to expand into Japanese ones eventually. There's a few I really, really like. I'll have to decide. I'll decide later, probably in 2021. In 2021, I may decide to do that. I just want to see what I get with my whiskey advent for this year, for 2020. And then, so the Japanese company Suntory and the Highland Distillers Group took over ownership, and in 1999, the Edrington Group, who currently owns the distillery, took over. They're really big, but they're also like a very professional production and organized facility. So they have this really cool state-of-the-art new facility that was built in, I'm going to put pictures in as I talk about it, that was built in the 20 teens. It's like, I think they broke ground on 2014, if I'm remembering that correctly. And then they went on and opened in 2018. So they've only been open 2 years. They're closed due to the pandemic right now, as all the distilleries are in the UK regions, just closed to any visitors. I'm going to try to find a good picture of the way this new facility looks. It's very high-tech looking, or it has like this organic and high-tech together. It's a cavernous space. I'm going to show you some pictures of the distillery. Inside, they also have a gift shop where you can buy whiskey. They have a bar where you can taste their whiskeys. And they also have a little restaurant, a patisserie, where you could sample Scottish food. So it's a pretty cool, slick-looking place. Yeah, well, I think that's about all I can tell you about them. They're on a big estate. I want to say I read it was around 400 acres. Let me just go back to no, I don't know where I read it. I read it somewhere, but I want to say it was around 400 acres. But yeah. So, okay, let's taste. Let's taste. So this is now the same day that I recorded. I took all my makeup off because I just don't like having all that on all day. It's not good for my skin. So it is almost it's practically dinner time. So this is a little pre-dinner drink that I'll have. We're doing a little celebration, family celebration tonight. So I just wanted to make sure I got this done without having any other tastes in my mouth. Okay, so this is the 15-year triple cask. So they have a line of triple casks that are, there's a 12-year, 15, and I think it's an 18. They do the same with their double cask. And let me just see if the bottle itself tells me about the triple cask. A trinity of spirits matured individually in sherry-seasoned European oak casks, sherry-seasoned American oak casks, and ex-bourbon American oak casks. And then they're married together, and the label says it's going to be orange and chocolate. I knew ahead of when I got this that this was going to be an orange and chocolate whiskey. So I'm so excited. I think also Oban is known for being orange and chocolate. Yeah, but who doesn't want orange and chocolate? Wow. I'm so excited to try it. Let me just think if there's anything else I need to tell you about. So we talked about the casks. It's 15 years old. Yeah. There's other rares. They have rare ones. They have ones that go all the way back to the 1920s from what I could see. I don't know about the availability or the cost. This one I think costs around 90 to 110 depending on where you are and when you're buying it. This 15-year. Okay, let's try it. Okay, you can see like it's a beautiful pale gold, and it smells like it has a sweetness and like I can smell wood too. Like it almost reminds me of chocolate covered cherries, which maybe there's some berry in there. Oh my goodness, yes, I can smell the chocolate. I just want to bite it now. Okay, yeah, I taste the orange up front, but it's not strong orange. It's not like I drank a glass of orange juice orange. It's just a small kind of behind the scenes. It's overwhelmingly kind of chocolate, I would say. It's almost creamy, if that makes sense. There's a little heat from the alcohol. I would even say there's some spice because there's spice that lingers on the tongue afterwards. So that's pretty cool. Let me tell you what the experts say. I found my favorite, the Flavier.com. They say, oh, oak. Okay, so yeah, so up front, oak. They're saying that I should be tasting the oak too, so maybe that's the creaminess I'm tasting. Chocolate and cinnamon are the next two primary. Oh, and rose. That's really interesting. I was just talking about my rose tea and that I like rose. So I really do like this whiskey. This is very nice. It's really smooth. It's also saying the spiciness. It's talking about the spiciness at the end. I can actually read to you what it says. Sumptuous chocolate flavors, which was what I was saying. Like I'm tasting a lot of chocolate. Notes of orange and raisin. Long finish inspired by oranges and dried fruit. It says I should smell rose. Now, as much as I like the flavor of rose, I don't love the smell of rose. I guess I can smell it. There's some sort of like, I smelled the really woody smell, but now that I've been drinking it a little bit, I don't smell the wood so much, and I do smell more of a floral smell. But it reminds me more of a chocolate candy, like those hard chocolate shells that you bite into, and then there's like the sugary sweet. That's what I feel like I'm smelling. Okay, the distillery itself says this about it. Rich straw color, sublime, full with delicate hints of rose and cinnamon. Oh, they say the same thing. Palette, intensely rich chocolate. Oh, they took this off their website. That's really unusual, actually, though. Usually, what I find the distillery site says about the whiskey, it's not the same as what critics will say about it. I don't think I have any other critic pulled up on this, so we're just going to have to go with, the critics agreed with the distillery. I hope that works for you. It works for me for now. I hope you enjoyed this little whiskey chat. I hope you get a chance to try a whiskey of your own and sip along as you watch the rest of my wool chat. I'll see you next time. All right, you are back. I want to talk about knitting. I have a couple FOs. Martha is wearing my Nell sweater, which I'm going to talk to you in about a minute. But first, I want to start with my Baby Yoda hat. I finished that. It is not showing up as limey green as it is in person, but this is the front. It is from the Crafty Jackalope, this pattern right here. I bought the kit, so it came with the pattern, and you can see that there's also this Princess Leia hat pattern, so you get both, the Princess Leia and the Yoda hat, and then the Yoda hat kit came with this slimy green color of superwash merino and a DK weight. So the pattern's written for DK weight. And yeah, it was very fast. It probably took me maybe 4 hours total, I'd say. I didn't work on it all at once. I just kind of, I think I showed it 2 weeks ago, and it was just the bands. I had just started it. It's worked in reverse stockinette, bottom up, and then you attach the ears. I hope I attached the ears right. The ears are very floppy, and I was thinking, like, if you were making this for an older child, I mean, this is for a baby who's going to be laying down, so it really doesn't matter if those ears are floppy, right? Because it's going to be worn this way, so they'll just lay on the pillow. But if you were making this for an older child, I think what I would do is put some like florist wire or something in those ears just to make them kind of flexible and yet bendy, so you could shape them. That would be really cute. But yeah, I don't want to do that for a baby. That would just, yeah, I think that's going to be maybe too awkward. I'll see what the parents say. This is for my new granddaughter who will be arriving in October. The parents said that this was on their wish list, so a Baby Yoda hat. So this will be mailed out to them soon. I needed to show it to you first. So yeah, it actually fits on Martha really cute. I don't know if you won't be able to see it, but I put it on her neck and it fits perfectly, just so I could see how it looked on, an actual head. But I think it's super cute. I know they look like donkey ears, right? They look kind of like donkey ears, but yeah, I think it works. So that was a quick and easy knit. And yeah, so I finished my Nell. I'm going to put a picture on screen of what Iri Shimuzu's, I think it's Shimuzu. I always mess it up. I never get the vowels right. But anyway, Iri, she goes by Iri on Instagram. This was her pattern, and I'm really happy with it. I'm not wearing it because it's a little damp still. So I will put a picture on screen also at some point in my chatting about this of me wearing it later, because I think it's almost dry. It's just a little damp, but I thought it would be uncomfortable. And I want to finish blocking it because the bottom hem is curling a little bit. So yeah, I want to get that, make sure that is flat. So you can see I did put the bright pink around the bottom. I'll show you a close-up picture of that. I really like it. I'm glad I did that because it kind of ties back in with the bright pink on the sleeve. So what can I tell you about the pattern? The pattern, I learned a few things, which was really cool. One was this 2-stitch I-cord. I thought I-cord had to be 3 stitches, but 2 stitches works just fine. So there's a 2-stitch I-cord around the sleeve and around the bottom. I also learned she had us do increases, so we did this textured stitch, which I'll put a close up in. I think you can kind of see it vaguely. So there's a textured stitch around the neck, and then right here, and after both, you do this here and on the sleeve and on the bottom. After the sleeve and here, you are increasing stitches to create like some more fullness and what looks like a gather. And it's all the way across the back too, which I think you can see okay, but I'll put pictures in. I deliberately did not alter skeins so that I would get this really crazy pooling effect. I really like it. I think it works for this peasant style sweater. I was gonna design a peasant style sweater, and then I found this one. So okay, I don't need to design one. Here's one I can knit instead. There's probably, so do you ever go and look at project pages? So I went and looked at project pages for this one. I was getting close to the end. I probably had just a few inches left of length to knit. So I went to look at the project pages on Ravelry just to, I was curious how long people were making it, because she tells you in the pattern, I think for all sizes, to knit from the armhole down to knit 18 inches, which is really long. So I normally knit, like right now, more cropped lengths are popular in patterns, and they'll tell you to knit like 10 or 12 inches. But I normally knit somewhere around 14 or so inches from the armhole, because I'll knit from the shoulder. Like I know for my measurements, I will knit from the shoulder to the armhole to where we split for sleeves. I'll knit somewhere in between 8 and 9 inches. So if I'm knitting about 14 inches with like 9 inches up here, then I've got a 23-inch length sweater, which is about the length I prefer, 23 to 25, maybe even 27 inches. 27 inches is really long, and I don't like sweaters too long because I don't want all that extra fabric around my hips. It's not about the look for me so much as just the extra warmth and like the way coats fit. Like sometimes shorter coats aren't long enough to cover them and it looks kind of weird. I don't know. So I've just found like my preferred length is somewhere between that 23, 24, 25 inch length, maybe 26 or 27. So you can see this is very long. So I went on to look at project pages and I noticed a few things. There were several people who knit this into a dress, which was a great idea. So into like a little mini dress, like down to about the mid thigh or so. And that was super cute. They look so cute because there's a lot of fullness. You can see this. I think the recommended positive ease around your bust measurement was 10 inches. And I ended up with I have to do the final measurement, but while I was knitting it, at least the way that I was knitting it, I was doing the size that was going to give me about 9 inches of positive ease. And then, so you have that at the bust, but then you're also increasing on the sides as you go down. So you're getting more and more fullness. You get this like exactly the way like a peasant blouse would fit, because you're putting in all this extra fullness. I really like the style of it. I have denim shorts on today. I'm just gonna throw it over my denim shorts for a picture today, but I'll have fun styling it. I think it could be really, really fun styling. A few things that people talked about, which in the project pages, besides there being dresses, there are most people seem to make it as long as Erie intended, which I thought was interesting. I knit to 16 inches. I didn't knit to 18, but because I also knew it was going to grow in the blocking, which it looks like it has. So I will measure it later and I'll let you know what I ended up with. And I'll also let you know about the bust. So I'll put that on screen now or around now. people didn't like this. Like a lot of people didn't like this opening being as deep. Some people had said that if they do it again, they would end the V here, which I can see. Like actually when I was knitting it, I thought that opening was dropping down a little low, but in her picture, she's wearing a t-shirt or tank top, something underneath her, camisole under it. So you see like the camisole just peeking out. I mean, Martha's wearing a long V-neck t-shirt, and you can see like the V-neck, it's still another 1/2 inch lower. So I think for modesty's sake, it's going to be fine. But a few people put a button here, right here. Some people did like a little I-cord tie, which would be cute too. Because I do have extra yarn. So remember, I was worried about running out of yarn. Oh, I should tell you, this might be a good time to tell you about the yarn in case you haven't. I've been working on this project for 3 months. So it would only be if this is your first time here that you don't know what the yarn is. So anyway, the yarn is cat sandwich fibers. It is on her trusty base. In the Princess Bonnibel colorway. I bought 3 skeins of it at Vogue Knitting Live in January, and I thought I would not have enough yarn to finish it, but I did, because the yardage, I want to say that for my size, she was saying I would need 1,800 yards or so. So 3 skeins, what's the yardage on this one? 463. So 3 skeins were about, say, 1,400 yards or so. A little less. So, but surprisingly, I had plenty. I don't remember which size I knitted. I think I knit the second. My gauge is loose, so I have a loose gauge, and I often end up knitting a smaller size. When I find the fabric from my swatching that I like, I will knit a smaller size to get the size that will work for my bust measurement. I did make a modification too. I switched to these are also cat sandwich fibers. These are from my advent calendar. I bought the advent calendar that had 50-gram skeins, which I love. That little 50-gram skein advent calendar has brought me so much joy. Like I've been able to use these 50-gram balls in so many different projects. Like I bought 2 50-gram skein packages, which this time around, if I buy any 50-gram skein advent calendars, I'm gonna just buy one, because I still have a full set that I haven't tapped, but I have tapped it was a set of 7. I have tapped all 7 for something of one set. Yeah, I really love 50-gram skeins. Like they're just they're great for color work. This wasn't a lot of color work. I ended up using 5 grams of this for the contrast. And then I switched to this more solid pink. It's not 100% solid. It does have speckles, but it was more solid than my body color just to get some better contrast in the color work. And I think it works. I think it works for this because this sort of rose gold color is in the speckling and stuff in that pink. So yeah, I think it works fine. So anyway, I used 5 grams of this, and I think I'm gonna weigh this right now. I think I used about 8 grams of the darker pink. 9. I used 9 grams of the pink, just for FYI, and that was for the ground there and then the trim here. I talked about putting some of the pink around the neck, but I don't think I'm going to. I think it works just fine the way it is. So yeah, if you're curious, because I'm right next to all my yarn, I'll show you. This is what the full set looks like. Right? Is this a full set? Oh, this has 1 extra skein. All right, so I only used 6. So this was the full set minus this guy on the end. This is what her full 50-gram set looks like. Good news about, the interesting thing about that 50-gram skein is my first whip that I'm going to show you new cast on and whip, because I think I can use some of those for more of what I'm going to show you. Am I done talking to you about this now? I think so. Yeah, so I'll see how it, oh, the other thing, the one last thing I wanted to say, one of the people who, with the project, had put a ribbon on the inside of the neck, like stitched down like a ribbon reinforcement on the inside of the neck, because she said the opening just kept sort of growing as she was wearing it. It just kept stretching out and it felt very unstructured. So she fixed that by hand stitching down a ribbon on the inside, which I just thought was a genius way to solve that. So I may do the same. I'm going to see how it works for me, and if that bugs me. I do really like I stitched down ribbon on the stone crop cardigan that I made. It, you can see it if you're wondering about that. You can see it on my project page, but you can also, I make really great project pages, I shouldn't say great, thorough project pages. They're very full of, like, all the things I'm telling you that I did with this will be on my project page. So you can always see that. But I also, on my stone crop cardie by Andrea Mowry that I made a couple months ago, I used ribbon for the first time on the inside of the cardigan, and I really, really love it. I love the structure it gives to that part of the cardigan. It just feels like more substantial, like not as floppy, squishy, soft for an area of the sweater that needs a little more structure. So, and I have a big bag of vintage ribbon that I got in a D-stash that a sewist was doing. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and I, use it whenever I need it. It's really gorgeous, like all from the 60s and 70s, very pretty. I digress. Yeah, so that was my last possible modification. Again, this is still damp and it's gonna dry, and when it's dry, I'll try it on, I'll mess around with it, I'll wear it a little bit and see how I like everything, and I might, if anything else occurs to me, it'll go in my project page note in case I ever decide to knit this again. The last thing I just want to say about this, looking at everyone else's patterns, so you saw Erie's original picture, which I'll put here again. It was a very soft white with blue speckles, and she did navy in the sleeve work, navy color work. Most people did very similar colors. So mine is really wild colored, like bright and colorful compared to everyone else's. Many people did solids. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I was like, wow, I'm really out of the box in terms of the colors. I mean, I don't mind being out of the box, but I just was like, that's pretty interesting. So yeah, I will, I'll be posting final pictures and stuff of this too, so people can see it. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I love cat sandwich fibers. I do have another sweaters quantity of her yarn that I got. This is not a new purchase. I've had this a while. But I bought it after I started knitting with this because I just love the way this works so well. I was like, I need more. I just need more to hold on to and look at and dream about and think about. So that's, yeah. That's in the works. I didn't tell you about my t-shirt. This is a shirt I got at Rhinebeck last year, Rhinebeck 2019. I got it from Lady Dyer Yarns booth. I actually got it at the Rhinebeck Knit Bazaar. It says, I'm a badass knitter. I love it. I wear it a lot. It's, like I said, I actually just threw this on this morning without even thinking about that I was going to wear it in the podcast. I really wanted to wear this, and then when it was still damp, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go and do my episode and just get it done with. So, because editing takes a lot of time. So, anyway. But since I won't be doing my whiskey chat till later anyway, it'll be dry by then. It super wash dries really fast, I find. Okay, moving on. I have a new cast on in my Stolen Minutes project bag, my little sock size project bag, but it's not socks. I cast on So I cast off one baby thing. I had to cast on another baby thing. I think this might be the way my year's gonna go. So this is, I bound off last night on the bottom and have to do the sleeves. I'll get the sleeves done probably today, between today and tomorrow, or in the next couple days. This is the Flax Light by Tin Can Knits. It's a free pattern on, I got it on Ravelry. I don't know if you can get it on her regular website. Probably. I think she has a website. It's my first Tin Can Knits pattern. I've never done a Tin Can Knits pattern before. I really like it. It's well done. I did add in some short row shaping to get a little bit of a back neck. I did a very stretchy cast on. I use Old Norwegian cast on for almost everything I do. Unless the cast on is something specific. So anyway, as I was knitting it, I was a little worried about the neck being too small. Because I followed the pattern exactly. This is the 6-month size, 6 to 12 months, I think. Again, I didn't get gauge. I was looser. I swatched using the needle size recommended. I didn't like the way the fabric looked. It looked too loose. So I went down a needle size and went ahead and knit the 6-month size anyway, because this little bean isn't here yet. I figure I'll give it to the parents, the sweater to the parents, and then whenever it fits her, it fits her. But oh my God, is this yarn not just the best? I mean, look at those colors. It's just so sweet for a little girl. I'm so, so excited. So excited. So the yarn is, I believe this Dyer no longer dyes. It is Sinister yarn. Let's see if you can see it. There you go. In the colorway Tatiani. Wait. I know what this is. Let me just take a minute. Titania, that's it. She was a fairy, I think, in one of the Shakespeare plays. I think, if I'm remembering this right. But also, it's a name that has been used for anime characters and stuff. So I'm not sure what the reference was from Sinister Yarn. I think Sinister Yarns was a Canadian dyer. I've had this yarn since 2017, so for 3 years. And I actually had it in my D-stash for a while. I was trying to sell it, and after I found out we were going to have a girl, I was thinking about it, and I was like, this is the perfect color for a little baby girl, because you don't really want to put these bright pinks on a baby girl. These are good for toddlers, of course, but babies, they're so soft and delicate. You just kind of want nice soft colors, at least me. So I don't know how the parents will feel. I don't think they know how they'll feel either. But yeah, so Tin Can Knits baby sweater, Flax Light sweater. So it's fingering weight yarn, and also the yarn has cashmere in it. It's so soft. It's gonna be so great. I'm so excited. And you know what? My yield was off. So the pattern said I would use 400 yards, and I think this is like 420 or so, this skein. And I have more than half left still. I estimate I'm going to use about 60% or 60 grams or so. It's a 100-gram skein of this yarn. So I'm expecting to have enough to make a matching hat and some matching socks. So I figured out baby socks take about 8 to 10 grams of sock yarn. So I should have plenty to do. I think a hat will probably be about double that. So yeah, I should have a whole little matching set. Hopefully I'll get all the sizes right, because that's I remember people hand knitting me matching sets for my babies, and like the hat didn't fit at the same time that the sweater did, or the booty. Like things were just mismatched just because babies come in all sizes and it's hard to predict. But hopefully I'll get it right enough that she can wear it all together. It will be so cute, right? Oh my goodness. I'm just having way too much fun. So going back to my 50-gram skeins, I think that I can probably make more of just the sweater using my 50-gram skeins. So that'll be fun. But this has just been so, look at those colors. They're just so great. And if you were to Google the yarn color name, you'd see that this really nails it. Really nails it. Like the images of that fairy. So yeah, fun. It's so fun to knit for her. I forgot how fast baby knits go. Like I knit most of that body. After I split for the sleeves, I did most of that body in the car going back and forth to the beauty salon, which, I mean, it's no joke of a ride. It's probably like a 45-minute ride, but yeah, it's fast knit. So even so, it was like an hour and a half to knit the body. Yeah, and I did a little work on my Rye Layering Tee, my sleeveless version out of my Sweet Sparrow Yarn Mystery. It's a mystery, which is this beautiful chocolate brown. I mean, it's just going to be great for summertime, right? It doesn't look like it's going to fit me, but it will. This is my third version of this pattern. This is a pattern of my own design. It is a choose your own adventure with 2 different necklines and any sleeve length you want and any rib pattern you want, or actually any pattern, any stitch pattern that you want. I wrote it, the pattern is actually written for knit purl, but the measurements and stuff, like for stockinette, I shouldn't say knit purl, stockinette, but the measurements take into account that you're using a more stretchy rib. It's a layering tee, right? So it'll fit more like a, like a t-shirt does. So yeah, so I am doing a crew neck version. And I don't know how big the sleeves are going to be. It really will depend on the yarn. The pattern is written for sport weight, but you can probably easily modify for a fingering weight or even DK if you wanted, though DK weight for a layering tee is kind of heavy to me. But maybe that's your style. I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know what sort of sleeve I'm going to do. At the very least, I'll do probably a little rib, 1x1 rib edging all the way around for this version, because this is a summer version. I have knit, I think last time I showed you I had just split for the sleeve, so I knit a couple inches. I didn't knit too much, but there's a few inches there. I can't remember how long. I have this is still my draft pattern. The pattern's published, by the way, and it's getting some good, it's got some good traction in terms of sales. You should just know too, when you look at patterns on Ravelry, like a designer like me, I get a lot of sales, but I notice that because I'm not in the hundreds like Andrea Mowry, I'm in the tens and 20s on my patterns in terms of sales. Sometimes I think my most downloaded pattern is one I gave away, a free sock pattern, ironically, since I'm not a sock knitter, but it's a sock pattern that's based on a vintage sock pattern that I had on hand, and I rewrote it using more modern terms. And I just put it out there for free. That's the most downloaded one. That one's been downloaded hundreds of times. But in terms of sales, like I have a bunch of patterns that have been downloaded or that have been purchased a few dozen times, but you wouldn't know that by looking at the project pages, like how many projects have been made, because most people don't make project pages, like at least for me, So I just imagine, like, when you see like this one, for example, I was saying there was over 400 project pages. There's probably 3 times as many sales or 5 times as many sales on the pattern. It's just that people don't make project pages. So yeah, keep that in mind. Anyway, pattern is published. I have a draft pattern here. that is not the finished pattern. Oh, okay. So I said 15.5 inches from the underarm. Yeah, so I have a ways to go still on this, since I've only got about 3 inches. So I've got another 12 inches to knit. And I am pretty well along with on my first skein. I still have another full skein. So I think what I'll do when I get done with the first skein, I will go back and do at least the neck trim. The neck trim is just a 1x1, about a 1 inch 1x1. And then I will, with the new skein, and then I'll continue on and to do the whole length and make sure I have at least enough to do neck, arm trim. I'm hoping I have enough to do sleeves, so we'll see. This is the yarn. It is by Sweet Sparrow Yarns. She always uses these kind of tags instead of ball bands. And it's called It's a Mystery. And it's in her Robin base, which is superwash merino nylon sport weight. Yeah, so I bought it as a mystery set. And I was surprised because she's known for her pastels. So I was expecting something like what the baby sweater colors are. And I got instead this chocolate brown, which I really love. It's a great color. I wear it. I will definitely wear it this summer. I love to wear those more dark toned neutrals as the summer gets later. Because at first I really want bright colors like this, and then I switch to the darker tones later on in the summer. I don't know why. It's just kind of like the way my mood goes, I guess. So anyway, Rye Layering Tee. I am doing on this one a 3x1 pattern. It turns out for my size anyway, a stitch pattern that's divisible by 4 or 2. Well, so anything that 4, if it goes into 4, that works best. I do have another bright one planned with some other sport weight yarn that I've purchased, but I'm going to get this one done first. This one will get a lot of attention now because this is done. This was such a beast. Like this was over my normal circumference, like knitting in the round for my body size. I'm usually knitting around 220 to 240 stitches. This was like 340. Like it was huge. I don't know exactly how many. I can't remember, but it was a lot. So each row was taking a really long time. The Rye is living in my Hohi Locatelli. I don't know what she calls this bag. I'll put it on screen because I'll go look it up, but it's really cute. It's just adorable. I think she has these in her shop right now because I saw an update come through. And I just saw one this morning, actually. So I'm resisting buying any more right now because I really want her to make this in a slightly bigger size. Because this is fine for a 1 skein project, or 2 skein project maybe, but 3 or more skeins, nothing. It's not going to fit. It won't fit in there for long. Be good for baby knits, though. That's all my knitting. I am still working on the pink velvet sweater by Andrea Mowry. I'll put a picture on screen of hers. I just didn't put any work on it, so I didn't think I should show it. It is a beautiful pattern, but it's really for fall. So I'm prioritizing baby knits and spring summer knits ahead of that. So it may take me a while to finish that up. It's I'm in the mindless part. I finished the color work, so I'm just in the mindless, like knitting in the round sweater, and she has it's pretty cropped. I don't think I'll go that cropped again. I'll probably knit to like 13 or 14 inches from the armhole. It's time for spinning. Are you ready? Have I been chatting? I've been talking so long. I thought this would be short because I didn't have a lot to talk about knitting wise, but I think each of the things I showed you, I talked a lot about. Anyway, okay, so spinning. So what have I been up to spinning wise? So I don't have any finished skeins. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about what I have been working on. I moved on to knit more of my Kim Dyes yarn fiber braids. So this is I think last time I showed you the Falkland braid that I had purchased from her a while back. At the same time that I bought that, I bought this one. I think you'll be able to see pretty well in there. So those colors. This is called Good Days, right? Good Days, yeah. And this is Targhee, 100% Targhee. So I divided this braid into 3. So because I learned from the Falkland, it was 4 ounces, which made 600 yards. I made a 620 yard skein. So I decided to try, I have 3 of these braids, so I decided to try one as a 3-ply, which I think will make it a sport weight. My thought with this was that this might be a nice baby sweater, so I've been babbling on and on about the Elizabeth Zimmerman baby sweater, which I'll put a picture here of what it looks like. It came out, so Elizabeth Zimmerman was a prolific writer and knitter in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And anyway, she made this pattern back in the 70s, I want to say, or maybe the 80s. But Vogue put it in their knitting magazine in 90 or 91. And my oldest was born in 91. So I did not knit that baby sweater for him. I was super overwhelmed with being a new mom, as you are. And so I wasn't doing a lot of knitting for him until he was about 2. And when my younger son came along, I did a lot of knitting for him. So I knit that pattern for my younger son, and I loved it. And I subsequently knit that pattern over and over and over and over, probably a dozen or 15 times for friends that were having babies. So my intention was to make that same sweater for my grandbaby that's coming. And I realized that it's knit for DK, and I don't have a lot of DK on hand. I have mostly fingering weight, but I have a lot of fiber. So I was like, I could spin a DK weight, or at least a sport weight. So I thought I would take this one of these braids and spin it into a skein of yarn that I could then use to make the Elizabeth Zimmerman sweater. So that is the plan with this spin. So you're on this bobbin, you're only seeing you're seeing just a hint of the purple, but the purple is in there. And when I spun this, this is just a section. I think I split it. Did I split the whole thing? Yeah, I think I split the whole thing just in 3 parts. And then what I'll do is I'll further split it and pull it apart so that I'm breaking up the way the color is laying out. Because you can see that there's a very big section here of this gold, which it's so pretty. But I don't want like this big gold stripe. So I'm going to be breaking that up so that it'll mix in with the other parts and colors and stuff. And then since it'll be a 3-ply, it should be pretty mixed up. And my daughter-in-law, she loves these mermaid colors, if you remember from the shawl I knit her. So I thought this would be really nice, but I'm going to see how it looks. I think it's going to be fine, but I like looking at the braid, I was a little worried it might be a little too murky and like a little too low-toned for a baby, but I actually think it's going to be fine. And I think that Elizabeth Zimmerman sweater will fit the baby for a while. Like it should, like I'm going to knit, because I haven't knit it in such a long time. It's been like a couple decades probably since I knit it. Maybe not, that's probably an exaggeration. Maybe like 15 years or so since I've knit it. I want to knit it one time as it's written, and then I'll start playing around with it. It's so funny. I don't have the sweater anymore, but I did eventually knit that pattern for myself. Because if you look at her, if you go on to Ravelry, I'll link it in my show notes on Ravelry. If you're curious about looking at project pages, you'll see in the project pages that a lot of people made an adult version, and I had done that way back before there was Ravelry, like in, I don't know, 97 or 98. I'd made myself one. I don't have it anymore. I didn't, at that time, when in the 90s, baby sweaters are different because they use so little yarn, but when I was knitting for myself, I didn't use high quality yarn because I just couldn't afford it. I was a broke single mom. All right, and other spinning, as I was spinning that, I became obsessed with this pattern that isn't out yet, but it's in development. Layla of Ching Fiber has been teasing a pattern, which I'm going to put on screen here. She hasn't even said what the name is, but I saw it oh, so long ago, like probably when she first teased about it on Instagram. And then I also get her newsletter. Incidentally, if you really love any yarn dyers or any anyone who any business that has a newsletter, that is the best way to find out what's going on. Not following them on Instagram. Sign up for their newsletter. That is the absolute best way to find out about updates, shop updates, any sort of vendor, I would imagine. I mostly just have newsletters coming to me for yarn or knitting related stuff. But anyway, so Layla had teased this pattern in a newsletter, and then I saw it on Instagram, and she said she just posted again this morning, the second one, the second image where she's got her arms over her head, and I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with this pattern. I was like, I must knit this. So I was looking at it, and I was looking closer at it, and I realized that the top, the yellow part of that sweater is DK. So again, I don't have a lot of DK, and I definitely don't have any neon DK. So I was chewing through, I've got fiber, and I actually have a very bright colored batch of fiber. So as I'm spinning for the baby sweater, I was remembering that I've got this very bright hot pink and orange primarily with shots of turquoise and green in there from Stitch Together Studio. And I think this is a one of a kind. Yeah. So that's her card. Stitch Fluff, she calls it. So Stitch Together Studio. This is I bought 8 ounces of this, which, oh my goodness, like that's a sweater's quantity for me. But you could see on there, it is a Targhee Bamboo Tussa Silk Blend, 80-10-10. I'm saying Targhee right, aren't I? I think I am. If I'm not, I'm sure someone will correct me. It's Targhee. I don't think you pronounce that H. I don't think it's Targhee. I don't know. You'll tell me, right? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Yeah, so I pulled off out of the 8 ounces, I pulled off 40 grams to, again, like, see, so I made 1 bobbin. And then I realized that I don't know if I need to make DK weight. I don't know how much yarn. I suspect I only need a skein, maybe a little more than a skein, because it's not a lot of that sweater. It looks like it's just past the armhole, so it'll be like to here. And then after that, you're using her Veronita base, which is a sort of like a mohair, like a lace weight, but it's cashmere. It's really pretty. I saw it when she launched it, and I had bought for myself for my birthday in February. I bought the other cashmere base that she launched at the same time called Vera, and I'm going to be making the Rye Layering Tee out of that. I bought it for myself. It was delayed because she sent me the Veronita instead, and so I sent it back, and then they had to wait for it to get back, and she's in a UK-based dyer, so it was back and forth, and it was right around when the pandemic was setting in, and yeah, anyway, I finally got my cashmere. It's here, but that's more of a fall weight or a fall sweater, so I won't be knitting that. We're like late summer, so I'll probably knit that later on in the summer. I have other things that I'm working on instead. So yeah, so it's the Veronita base, it's called, and it's a cashmere lace, which is similar to mohair. And my thought was, again, I want to knit from my stash, so I thought I would spin this bright yarn fiber into a DK weight and put it with like kind of mimic the way she did her styling, and put it with a pastel sort of neutral blush color. And I have mohair. I may end up buying the Veronita. I suspect that whole pattern is probably 1 skein because the yardage is lace weight, so it's not more than 2 for sure. Because that lace weight, when I came, I think the lace weight is like 600 or so yards. It's a lot of yardage. I do also have, it's not fuzzy, but I do have a lace weight cashmere. I think it's cashmere merino in black, which would be really pretty too. But yeah, I love that pattern. Isn't it great? What a wonderful pattern. I'm so excited to knit it. I'm obsessed. I really am. Can you tell? So I'm trying to control myself and stay on path and not let myself get too derailed. So I didn't pull off any more to make the bobbin or to finish the yarn, because I want to see what I end up with the Kim Dye's yarn with those three, like that 3-ply. I want to see what weight that ends up being, and see if that's the right weight, if that ends up being sport weight or DK, and then I'll go from there, because I tend to spend the same weight unless it's a fiber that becomes very thin. Like I did last year, I spun also from, I love Kim Dye's yarn too. I just love Kim as a person. She's just such a lovely person, but I really love her color sense. So I end up buying a lot of her fiber. I have a lot of her fiber in my stash. And Stitch Together Studio too. So I bought some pencil roving from her that had a lot of silk. So silk is a very fine filament, and it is easy to spin thin. So I ended up making a 4-ply to get to a fingering weight because it was so thin. As a 2-ply, it was still lace weight. So yeah, so silk will make me, or anyone really, I suppose, spin thinner than a wool. And some wools are a little bulkier. They will spin up a little bulky. But I suspect that 3-ply will give me sport weight and 4-ply will give me DK weight. So I'm going to wait and see. The other thought I had was, is this going to be too bright for me as on its own? So I pulled out another Kim Dye's yarn batch of a braid that I have that is mostly white. This is actually really pretty, so that will go with that so well. So this would be a good way to tone it down, because what will happen in this mostly white, oops, I've already divided it, mostly white fluff, is that those patches, those big bright patches of pink and orange, will become very pastel, mixing in with all this white. I don't know if you could see, there's a little sparkle in there too, which I thought would be fun. So this is very much a wait and see project. I'm gonna finish baby sweater first, baby yarn first, and then I'll move on to spinning this. But since I have so much of this, I really think, I'm gonna be fine playing around with it. So I'm grateful that I bought so much of this fluff from Stitch Together. Not only do I have this bag of 8 ounces sweater quantity, because yeah, I'm all about the sweater quantity. Not only do I have this big bag from Stitch Together, I have another color that is not as bright. It's probably more like, I think you can see, like more like these kind of blues and greens. It's more blue-green heavy than with the hot pink and purple and stuff. But yeah, so that is what I've been up to craft-wise in the last couple weeks. Other than that, I'm still working from home. I think I don't anticipate returning to the office, frankly, until January. I actually think it'll probably be more likely be February, just given the what everyone is saying about the trajectory, the predicted trajectory of the pandemic, of the virus still being in our population and stuff. I don't see going to the office, only because I work on a college campus, and that's a communal living situation, and it's just too risky. It would be, and I'm not an essential employee, and I can work just fine from home. Like, I can do my job. I won't be able to meet with students face to face. I'm going to, because my office isn't big enough for more than me in there at a time. So yeah, I just don't see being on campus, me personally, on campus until February. At least not for any permanence, not for any regular anything. Like, there's no reason for me to go unless I can have a face-to-face meeting, is basically like the conclusion that me and my department have come to, me and my area It's too dicey. There's going to be all kinds of bathroom rules. Yeah, it's been a mess. It's been a real nightmare. So that's been like my life the last couple weeks. My work life is just navigating what it's going to look like to be on campus for students and for our faculty and staff. And yeah, we have not drawn any conclusions yet. We're not really sure how it's going to go. So many unknowns, so we'll see what happens. And yeah, good. I hope you are well. I hope that you know, you're not too worn out by the news about the world and our nation and some of the stuff happening. I hope you're keeping up with everything that is important to you, and that your knitting is bringing you some joy and comfort too. It is definitely, for me, I find a lot of comfort, especially in spinning when I'm really tired and not feeling like thinking about anything. Spinning really helps. It really helps me just to sit there and just work my feet and make some yarn. I feel productive, but also it's restful. So, which I guess, like, as you accomplish anything and that you find there's a repetitive motion, whether it's exercise or any sort of crafting, if it's got some repetitiveness to it, it can be very restful and feel very meditative and all of the good things. Well, anyway, have a great afternoon or evening, whatever time of day it is, day, week, couple weeks, and I will check in with you again very soon. Take care. Bye.